One of our favorite things about living up in the mountains is watching the fog roll in. Winter here lasts about 7 months, if we're lucky. We had our first frost in July this year. Come along with us today as we show you some of the things we're doing to get ready for winter.
So probably one of the most important things we can do to get ready is to make sure that our transportation is in good working order. So I'm working on our track truck here. This is our lifeline out to the road. Since I didn't take off the tracks last year, it sat most of the year, and I ran it every once in a while, but I'm just checking all the fluids, filling up the windshield wiper fluid, and also since I didn't take the tracks off, we have to fill it up with gas since I don't drive it to town. So in the wintertime, we park our vehicles up closer to the highway. The county has a parking lot, and you can park your vehicles there and then drive your tracked vehicles into your cabin. So it's about 5 miles up to that parking lot and about 800 feet in elevation. So when we head out, it's all up from here. So this track truck is our main vehicle to get out to the road. And then we just park our other vehicles at the parking lot and switch out and drive in. We also have a snowmobile and some side-by-sides, just in case something happens to one of them.
Obviously, another important part of getting ready for winter is making sure that we have good food supply. So here I'm just going through the root cellar and kind of checking what we have before we go on a big stock up trip, and seeing if there's any gaps in what I have, checking that things are still good, checking expiration dates, and reorganizing a little bit so that I know what I have a little bit better and can see it a little easier. A lot of the canned food in here I got from Azure, and I can link to that in the description. and other stuff I have gotten from Sam's Club or some other places, but plan on getting from Costco here on our upcoming stock up trip. Making sure that we have the proper amount of winter gear and that everyone has something that fits is extremely important since it's going to be cold and very snowy here where we live. So here I'm just going through everything and making sure that we have enough hats and gloves for everyone. I like to have more than one because those tend to get lost pretty easily. And all of those hats that you just saw, actually I picked up for $1 after last winter on clearance, so it was okay to have some extras. And as far as gloves, everyone's got a waterproof snow glove and then a work glove as well for things like firewood. So make sure everybody's got those and they know where they are. I also like to go through the coats, pull out every little sweater or lighter type of jacket because all that does is add clutter in our mudroom. We just need to keep the heavy winter coats in here. So these hangers are just for like their chore jackets, the kids' chore jackets, and then we have some nicer town jackets in this closet, and all of those I picked up on clearance in July and just planned on the next size up for all the kids so we didn't have to pay full price for anything.
Probably the second most important thing we need to do to get ready for winter is to collect firewood, cut and chop and stack. We probably have about 15 to 20 treed acres on our property, so we have lots of trees, but as you can see, this is very rugged. Can't really even get a regular car down there, and so it takes time. So I do it about every day when I can. I go cut some trees that have fallen down and then haul them up, chop them, and stack them. We burn mostly pine and aspen because that's what we have on our property. Last winter I was able to get a truckload of oak, but that was from quite a ways away. So once in a while we can get some hardwood and use that for overnight burns. So another project I did this week was I had to retape the windows in our addition. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get siding put on before winter, so I'm just making sure that everything is sealed up really good and keep the moisture and air out over the winter. And then in the spring, when things dry up, we'll be able to get some siding put on.
So another thing that we need to do to get ready for winter is to go through our first aid kit and make sure that we have everything that we need or think that we might need. In the winter, it's probably at least a good hour to any medical facility from where we're at. So it's important that we have the supplies to be able to treat the most common injuries or illnesses, and also to know how to do it. So I'm not going to do an extensive tour of our first aid kit. I can do that in a different video because there's a lot in here, but I just wanted to show you a few of the things that we have and the stuff that I need to check and go over before winter, except it's already winter here, but before it gets really bad winter. So I'll just show you a few things of what I have stocked in our first aid kit. And this first aid kit is like strictly, I don't know what the term would be, but like this is kind of our put away first aid kit. So we also have other things in our bathroom and in the house that we would typically use to treat some minor things, especially like more natural remedies and stuff. This is the more strict first aid kit, I guess. So anyway, here is some of the things I have. And this bag I got off of Amazon. I can link it in the description. It's super handy because it's got a ton of pockets and a lot of separation so that I can divide stuff out and know where stuff is. Because the last thing that I want to do in an emergency is have to dig and try to find the thing that I'm looking for. So what I'll do to get ready for winter is I'll go through some of the stuff, check the expiration dates, make sure that everything is still working or sealed, and just make sure I have everything that I feel like I need in here and know how to use everything in here. So I already know that I know how to use the things that are in here because I went ahead and packed this first aid kit with my aunt, who was a emergency room nurse for over 40 years. I did like a mini class with her, just me and her, and we went over everything that should be in my first aid kit and how to use everything. So not only do I have splints in here, I actually know how to put on a splint. That was just something that was really important to us before we went off grid, and I actually did that before we did any traveling as well, just so I knew what I was doing, at least somewhat, and before we could get to any medical care. So okay, so this pocket over here has all of my splints, and we have everything from finger size up to larger sizes for like ankles or wrists, all of the wraps and bandages. This is probably our most used side of the first aid kit because it's got some things like band-aids. This pocket, I'm not sure why I put the activated charcoal in here, but this has some bleed stop in it, which is also really important. So one of the things that my aunt told me to be the most prepared for is injuries like broken bones, broken ankle, broken wrists, that kind of stuff, or bleeding issues. So those are the main things that we want to cover with our first aid kit, and then everything else is just kind of helpful, but those are the two main things that you want to have the supplies for. So I've got some bleed stop both for humans and for animals in here. We need to be prepared for our animals as well because obviously it's just as far to the local vet. I forgot that I had a bottle of activated charcoal, so that's an extra one. Different types of medications, so I've got everything from allergy relief, which would be like Benadryl, to different things like some anti-diarrheal and let's see what's in here. This is acid reducer, which can actually be used for quite a few different things. So that's where I keep all that. So I'll need to go through and just check expiration dates. And most of the stuff, even for this this basic pill stuff, if it's past the expiration date, it's still okay. But if it was like a liquid gel or something, then we might want to replace it. Right behind that, we've got all of our different creams and stuff. I've got some liquid bandage, stuff for, sealing up wounds, and this is where I keep like hydrocortisone cream, triple antibiotic, things we might need to prevent some infections, and I have some bentonite clay, which we use for quite a bit of things. That's actually one of our biggest go-tos, and I keep plenty of that in the bathroom as well. Got some ibuprofen in here. All right, and then in the main part of the bag, this is where I keep a whole bunch of stuff. So I just need to make sure that I'm stocked up on, this is where I keep all of our different cotton things. So I've got cotton balls in here. These are just cotton rounds. You actually find these like by the makeup I just got these at Target. They're really cheap, but I actually like these a lot better than even using the cotton balls because they don't tear apart. So one of the things that I keep for us, and this is especially good in the winter, is these little nose plugs, and these are good for if you have a bloody nose. And I have some kids that have some issues with bloody nose, especially in the winter when it gets drier. Blood pressure cuff. We happen to have EpiPens because we have a prescription for these, so this is something I always keep in my bag just in case we need it. Rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide upright in here. We've got some more aspirin in here. I also keep quite a few of these instant cold packs on hand. I've got a couple in here, and then I've got a whole other box of these in the bathroom. But since we don't have an ice maker, these are really important for being able to have a cold pack. We take these hiking as well, but all you have to do is pop them and they are cold right away. These are really good things to have on hand. I've got some eye wash in here and some saline. That is kind of basic overview of our first aid kit, and like I said, some of the things that I do for winter, which is just mostly make sure that I've got everything that I need in here, and mostly to treat those basic things, which is bleeding and breaks or injuries like that. That is an overview of our bag.
Thanks for coming along with us today. We hope you enjoyed this video about our off-grid life. We post one new video every week, so be sure to like and subscribe so you can check out our next one.